YouTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I know it's really only been like 2 days since my last update video, but I want to update you guys again, because, and part of me, when I was thinking back to that video, I was feeling, part of me was feeling a little insecure about, did I say enough for you guys to be, think that was worthy enough for a video? Because I want to, but it's a hard line for me to balance, because I want to give you these updates, because I don't, to give you guys content, but I don't want to give you guys too much. Like, I don't want to end up giving you a review when I still do wrap-ups or do separate reviews for books. But I kind of want to keep you abreast of my reading and everything and how it's going, and I'll give you a little bit of, what I've just finished and what I'm currently reading. So it's a bit of a hard thing to balance. Like, how much do I say on these update videos without giving away too much? Also, today I made a decision. I've been feeling a little self-conscious about my screen time, especially because I've been watching a lot of videos kind of discussing that and how people are reading less in the books, or a lot of books that are shorter and that are trying to accommodate a world that spends so much time staring at screens and getting these 30-second clips of things that are entertaining, or like articles, internet articles and stuff, and or like a little post, on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, that are talking about something, and so it got me thinking how I want to try to continue to be better at taking less screen time, because there was a time back in starting in 2011, because that was when Once Upon a Time came out and I was addicted to that show. I spent a lot of time on Facebook doing roleplay, which was fun. And it was fun to have that group of women to talk to about the show, especially when we had basically the same opinions. I'm not gonna lie and say that did help that we agreed. Because once you were around something that disagreed, it could get tense. And we struggled with, there were a lot of people that were mature and didn't necessarily argue with people, but there were a lot of people that argued and butt heads. And the problem is, I happen to like a character that was not controversial, but just kind of antagonistic, and wasn't always doing and there was the relationship. It was Rumpelstiltskin, and he was also the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. So he was with Belle, and they were trying to do the type of storyline where he was addicted to magic and everything, and all, and it was a very messy storyline, and it was a very toxic relationship, and I wanted to ship it, but then I can kind of understand people that were like, Belle needs to stay away from him. It was a very messy relationship, and it was very frustrating. But I did do a lot of role playing, and I can't entirely regret, because I did meet Terry. He's become one of my good friends. And then also Larissa is also was a Once Upon a Time fan too. But there were a couple people here and there that it's probably good that I'm not friends with them anymore, or I should say acquainted, because it's like, was I really friends with them? And I was just spending a lot of time, and my family were a little concerned about my time on there. And I wouldn't be able to read like I do now, that's for sure. And so it's not as bad, but I do still get a little sensitive when I see things on Instagram that makes me, that makes me uncomfortable, makes me upset, or, And so today I decided, I don't think I need to detox and completely get away from it, because I still like it on there, and I don't feel entirely and I feel fine. I'm doing well when I'm not on there, but it's not always bad. And I think I have better control than most people, but I also think it's my generation we didn't grow up with it. But yeah, so today I decided to not do what I usually do when I get up in the morning, which is turn on my computer. Instead, what I did was I went through my routine of, getting ready for my walk and everything, and going for my walk, which it was super windy today. And the rain started after I came back from my walk. and it continued through a lot of the day until now. But it was also super windy even when it wasn't raining. But it's in the 60s actually, so it's according to my mom, who left to go to a baby shower. It was actually really, the temperature was nice. Just like I said, again, windy. And when I got back and stuff, I just brought my crossword downstairs because I knew that my parents would probably turn on the TV and watch an episode of Shameless before my mom left. So I just decided to put on my crossword. Of course, unfortunately, though, I still need a little help with those. I need my dad's help because he's been doing those crosswords for years. And I feel like it's good. Like, I think that's a good thing to do, like a puzzle, like a crossword or something. And there's always a crossword in the newspaper. Or I know some people read books that are a little more challenging, that require a little bit more effort and concentration first thing in the morning. But like I said, my parents are watching TV, so it's hard for me to concentrate on reading. So I just decided today I'll do crossword. And when I got back, and then when I come back upstairs, I spent most of the day cleaning my bathroom, vacuuming my floor, and then I finally sat down and read 2 books. And that's what I do. I don't finish a book the same book in one sitting. What I'll do is I'll read a good chunk of a book, and then I'll go do another book. Now, if I'm if I'm close to finishing the book, then I will focus on that one. Like a couple days before Valentine's Day, I was working, I was close to finishing Homecoming, and you guys, I'm sure you realize that because I did a video where I talked about finishing it. So that book I prioritized. Plus, it's always so great to get into a Kate Morton book. And like I said, I want to do a video where I do an author spotlight on here, but I want to read, there's a couple of her books that I want to reread, like The Clockmaker's Daughter. Anyway, so today I decided to, instead of prioritizing the screen, I would do some other things. Because, and I already knew that when I started if I start watching some TV or watch a YouTube video / booktube, then it will take me a while to get away and read and crack open a book. And then I won't feel like reading sometimes. So I need to read first before I look at a screen or something, even if it's just watch TV. It does help, though, when I can go upstairs in the privacy of my own room. Or if I put on, like, Charmed or something, and I've seen the episodes millions of times, and to the point where I'm like, I don't care as much about it anymore. I still like watching it, but it's, I've seen enough times it's like, oh, that's that episode, or I don't like that one, or I like that one, but I don't need to watch it right now. I just want to have it on while I'm eating breakfast. But yeah, just in case my parents turn on the TV, I figured, crossword would be better, because at least it doesn't necessarily require as much concentration. It does, because you got to figure out the clue and everything. But anyway, so I just kind of wanted to talk about that, give you guys a little bit of, that, but also, let me go ahead and talk about what I'm reading. So my focus is I'm slowly making my way through Wall of Storms, but again, I don't have a lot to say on that one at the moment. I have read a good chunk of that, but my priority has been right now on this book, The Carlyles at Home by Thea Home. And this is one of the Persephone books, and I think Persephone books are books written by female authors that aren't forgotten classics. And this one is one of those, I feel like this is one of those more cozy reads. Like, if you just want to hang out at home during if there's a snowstorm or a rainstorm or something, and you just want something cozy and easy to read, then I think this is a good book for that. It's basically this couple, I think they're Scottish, and they decide to move to England and to the city, but it's a big adjustment for them. and there's noisy neighbors. They have trouble finding servants because a lot of their servants are either, they're not very good at the job, or, one of the ones that they've had the longest, her name is Helen, and she had an alcohol problem. And it's just about their day-to-day lives of trying to get by and everything, and so it's just more of like not anything really, not a lot of exciting things happen, but it's kind of funny. But it is funny, some of the antics of dealing with, trying to find a servant, a maid, and how they have the noisy neighbors, and how they're never satisfied. Like, the husband wanted a study so that he could tune out the sound of the neighbors there's these two girls, they play piano, and of course you can hear it through the walls. So he tries to build a study, but then using his closet, but then his closet's too small. And the ones that, even though, like, they've already had the study built, but then he realizes it's way too small. And he's always constantly writing. He's a writer, so he's always writing books on his opinions on a subject in history, and it's a very cozy read. It's very fun, and like I said, I've always wanted one of these Persephone books, but my first priority when I went to England was going to Waterstones first, so maybe one day I'll go again and I can get a Persephone book. If not, I would like to try to order them out online at some point, but it's kind of hard to find them. I mean, I know that people don't like Amazon and I understand the reasons are valid why people don't want to shop on Amazon. I mean, but in my defense, it's my mom's account, and I go to used bookstores, or I go to, Books A Million or something, or Barnes & Noble, so I do shop, and I shop at thrift books, so I don't always buy on Amazon. The only time I get stuff from Amazon is for like birthdays or for other people. But occasionally, yeah, I do buy books on Amazon, but not a lot. But if it's a book like this with a special edition, sometimes it's easier to buy on Amazon, because on thrift books, people will grab it right away and it will disappear. And I don't want to be on, shopping on thrift books like every month. I'm trying to not do that. So problem is, it will disappear before I get a chance to buy it. Not that I need these editions, but I like them along with the cloth bound ones. And it's nice to have at least a couple of them. So sometimes it's just easier to get off on ones like this off of Amazon, because you're less likely of someone else grabbing it before you do. So that's the only reason. So, again, I don't buy books that often on Amazon anyway. It's just a rare occasion, every so often I will. But I do use thrift books or the used bookstore, and then yes, I do use Books A Million, or there's an independent bookstore in the little town next to ours, and so I feel like I shouldn't worry so much about when people talk about that and feel guilty, because I do know that I don't use Amazon as much as my mom that often. When it comes to book buying, but anyway. So yeah, this is just a very cozy read, very fun, it's not the most exciting read, but it's kind of fun. It's very fun seeing that, this couple and all the things they have to deal with, like how they have to adjust to the city life. And it's not super long. It's only 11 chapters, and I'm already on chapter 6. So in a way, kind of halfway. But they are long chapters. And, it's definitely not a book I can read. I feel like it's a book that I would want to read when I'm, in my room and there's not as many distractions. Because I can't, I end up only getting, a page or two read if I bring it with me to work and read during my 15 minutes. And then, if I read it downstairs, but, there's all these distractions. Anyway, so I started reading The Dead Zone. And this was I decided to read, I was hesitant to pick this one up because I recently purchased it, and there were a lot of Stephen King books that I've had a lot longer that I feel I need to read. but they're the longer ones, and this is one of his shorter works. I mean, it's not that short, like Misery is shorter than this one, but still, it's not super long. It's shorter than like The Shining or Doctor Sleep. And it's shorter than Christine. Like, it's, my edition is only like, let's see, 513 pages. So it's not that, so this is one of his shorter works. Like I said, it's not as short as Misery, but it's short compared to like The Talisman or The Stand or It or Under the Dome or Wizard and Glass or Fairy Tale. And I'm listing all the ones that I've started, although I haven't technically started Fairy Tale yet. But that was my original plan, to read that for the winter time, but it kind of got away from me. Like, it's almost the end of February, and then March is right around the corner, and then spring. See, I should not have made those videos where I said I'm gonna read these books during this time of this season, because I should have known it wouldn't happen. That I would eventually change my mind. So, I mean, although I don't think you guys are getting mad at me, at least I hope you don't. But yeah, so I decided to go ahead and pick this one. But this is about a guy who, well, he got hit in the head when he was like 6. And when that happened, by a hockey puck. And he ends up getting, it kind of alters his mind a little bit, so that he starts getting these funny feelings. And later, after he gets into a car accident, and he is in a coma for, how many years? Does it say on the back here? I think 4, so it was 4.5 years coma. His abilities get a little bit stronger. And, I'm going by the back, even though I've read a good chunk of it, but, I haven't got so far into it. Right now, I'm just at the part where he's in the coma. Where he's still in the coma. And his girlfriend, at the time, right before the car accident, she was starting to fall for him and everything, and ready to, be with him and stuff like that. But then he has the accident, and she decided she couldn't wait forever. Because, him and his dad, not his mom, but her and his dad are thinking, oh, he's not going to wake up from his coma, while the mom has his mom is a very religious person. She, and not the people who believe in God that are, just have faith, but people that are take it to the extreme and are worried about the apocalypse and, oh, the end of the world, and you're a sinner if you even kiss someone before you're married, or like, oh, going to the fair is very sinful, and like every little thing that, where something could, you might be doing something that might be a little misbehaving or naughty. She's one of those people. He talks about, I feel like he explores that a lot. He always has a character that's super religious. Like in the novella The Mist, there was a woman who was religious and was talking about the end of times and everything. And that was why the creatures in the mist showed up and everything. And Revival was also about religion. And his books show the darker side of religion, because there is a light side, a good side of religion, where it's just people have faith and have something to believe in, but they're not crazy about it. Like, I believe in God and everything, and I am Christian Methodist, but I'm not like obsessive with it. I don't try to convince people. Occasionally, I know I bring it up on here if it's relevant to the book. But there's a darker side of religion. There are people that are crazy about, obsessive, and to the point of they're trying to control you and, judge every little thing that you do. And yeah, so he explores that a lot in his books. And like I said, our main character, Johnny's mom, is like that, one of those people. He also, it hasn't, and there's also like a lot of the antagonists are very disgusting pig men who are just sexist or racist. And in Stephen King's defense, a lot of times it's, it's the antagonist who's like that. And, we have one of those villains where you don't know his name yet. You're just told the killer. And he was, we see his first victim, which it was so hard to read. But what was the worst one? The worst thing to read? That was pretty bad. Seeing things through the killer's eyes and seeing him as he attacks a woman that he knows. That was pretty hard to read and disgusting. But, horror was right. Surprisingly, what was kind of also really hard for me to read was the beginning, this part in the beginning of the book. I think it was where we meet this guy. I think his name is Greg Stilson, and he is a salesman. He's selling all this religious paraphernalia, particularly Bibles. And he shows, and, he's going to go to this one particular family, and they have a little dog that growls at him and kind of goes after him, and he doesn't like it. So he sprays the dog with something that kills it slowly and kicks it. And oh my God, that was so hard. As a person who loves dogs, that was so hard to read. There are a lot, sadly, there are, as much as I love Stephen King, there are parts in his books that are hard to read because he shows a really ugly side to humanity in his books. But his stories are also really good too, at least for me anyway, and for a lot of Stephen King fans. But yeah, those two parts were just very hard to read, and I kind of had to skim them a little bit. So yeah, I do skim, but I only skim when it's a really hard thing to read, like, for me personally. There's a lot lately. There's been talk of that a lot of modern readers will skim the books and only read the dialogue, or only read the action scenes, and that's why there's been a lot of videos talking about, like, that I've been watching lately that talk about our reading and how our reading has changed, and how we don't read as much, and books aren't as popular of a pastime anymore. But anyway, so, and what I really like about Stephen King is his books are very readable, and you get, even the long books, I will still get a good chunk of the book read before I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this down and come back to it in a year. Even though I say, even though I try not to do that. But yeah, like, I'm already on chapter 6, and it's only been like a couple days since I started the book. He's very, readable in his chapters. He has the chapter with the little sections within it that it's kind of written like a James Patterson book, the way it's written. But, or at least the way it's formatted, it's like a James Patterson. Because I think he's a better writer than James Patterson, or at least he writes more, I think. But it's been a while since I read, and I only read one series by James Patterson, and then I attempted the Witch and Wizard series. If there's any James Patterson, I hope I didn't offend you, but I'm just not the biggest fan of James Patterson. Anyway. So yeah, that is how it's going right now with my reading. I'm reading two very completely different books, which is kind of why I try to do that consciously. You read two very different books from each other. Even though I feel I don't get necessarily books mixed up. But sometimes, yeah, I would like to read some different books, especially like if it's reading something that's really horrifying or dense or very dark in the story, then sometimes it's nice to read it with something a little lighter. Like I was, reading The Omen, and at the same time I was reading The Family Parsonage, or that's when I started reading that one, and that was it was a good palate cleanser recently, a little more lighter, while I was reading something about this family thinking that they might have adopted the Antichrist, or not adopted, they might have the guy's wife, this politician's wife, thinks that she might have given birth to the Antichrist. So it was nice to read something that was a little, well, at the same time, read something that was light and a little more fluffy and fun, and the plot wasn't super dense or heavy. But anyway, so that is my update for you guys. Is there beloved to know what you are currently reading right now? Do you guys go to the library? I'm still trying to find an opportunity to go. It's just I'm trying to read the books I own before I go to the library again, and it's really hard to balance that because I'm like, I'm still gonna be buying books. It's not gonna change. I don't think I could go on a complete book buying ban. I mean, but I'm kind of curious, do you guys use the library? Because I do think there is importance to the library and value. I mean, I do use Libby, so that's technically the library. I'm just not physically going to the library. I'm just curious if you do. I hope you are enjoying your reading currently, whatever it is. Do you also, one more question. You guys also like read two completely different books at the same time? I know that a lot of people, that's an advice people give you if you want to read more books. They say do an audiobook and then a physical book. Or, people always ask me, oh, do you get them mixed up? And, to answer that question, I don't, but if you worry about that, then then reading different types of books, completely different books, I think that could help. So do you guys do that? Do you read, if you read more than one book, do you read two different books, two different types of books? Or do you read listen to an audiobook and then read a physical one? Or do you read a physical one and then read an ebook? Just curious. So I hope you guys like this video. And don't mind that it's only been 2 days since my last one. And I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!